At National Heritage Academies, everything we do is centered around student success. And that success can be academics, it can be the moral focus curriculum that supports social and emotional learning. It can also be best preparing our kindergarten students for their first day of school. So, one of the things we hear a lot about from parents is how do I best prepare my student to enter the classroom for the first time? So, today we are with Ms. Hook, principal at one of our NHA schools. And we're just going to have a conversation about how to best prepare kindergartners for the first time in a classroom. So I think maybe the first thing to start with is I think we all know kids may struggle entering kindergarten.
Yeah.
What are some of these struggles?
The struggles that we see for kindergartners is oftentimes going from a less structured environment, home, right, where we get to play and do a lot of things that we want to all day. Or even from a pre-K setting where there's naps and other things that kids get to, have a little bit more freedom, even though they might have structure with, to a pretty rigorous and structured day here at school.
So one of the things that fascinates me about kindergarten in general is when you're in third grade, fifth grade, middle school, high school, you've done school, so you know how it goes, right? So from a parent's perspective, when you drop your kid off at school, they're going to be comfortable, they're going to be safe. But from a kindergartner standpoint, you're doing this for the very first time.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I think is interesting is being okay with the mindset that it is okay if your kid is not okay,
Mm-hmm.
right? How do you reaffirm parents that if your kid cries, it's not the end of the world?
Right. So one is just kind of being upfront, right? Crying is kind of normal, especially that first month. I always say it's all hands on deck in kindergarten. The first day of school, a lot of times, middle schoolers and my older elementary kids, they are in a routine enough where they're kind of like, I'm learning my expectations right now. They're pretty much set in lock the first couple of weeks of school. And they get comfortable a little later. But for kindergartners, it's automatically everybody's on deck for kindergarten. You will see 6 or 7 adults having probably a kindergartner with them, either talking them through an emotion, giving them a hug, giving them some extra encouragement throughout the day, because we know that in kindergarten, this is the main priority, is helping them understand that school, especially for kiddos who may not have gone to like a pre-K setting, what this is, and that it is a safe place for them. And it's about creating and fostering those relationships early on, so that when they see those smiling faces over the next several days, they know they have someone to go to, and you'll see the crying dramatically decrease throughout the first month or so.
A teacher I knew a while ago told me that kindergarten is where you go to learn how to do school.
Absolutely.
So these social emotional safe spaces, how does that better prepare kids with the structure that you're talking about to just get comfortable with kindergarten?
Right. So when we have places like this, what we're talking to students or what we're teaching them, especially what's really critical is those first 2 weeks of school, where we're teaching a lot of those routines and procedures, but we're giving kids some emotional intelligence. This is something that, they continue to gain over time, but, when we're tired or we're crying, sometimes we don't have the words when we're that little to kind of explain how we're feeling. And so sometimes we just need to recognize that those feelings are there, and how do I deal with them in that moment? And by giving the children, a safe place to go, or a routine, such as like star breathing or some sort of breathing routine when I'm feeling an emotion, allows them to be more successful during the school day.
Do you have to communicate that to parents that it is okay if they struggle with this?
Absolutely. So we do a family orientation every year, especially for new families, but actually all returning families. And in that, we talk about behavior a little bit, and that conversation goes a little differently with each set of families that's there, but just an overall view, right? That crying at the first couple of days, I promise you it's going to go away. And just having the direct communication with families, like, hey, I want you to know this. I want you to know where your kid is, because together we can support them better, right? If you know that they're having a little bit of hard time crying at school, I don't want you to freak out. I just want you to know, so that when we have those conversations, you can have those affirming conversations at home, so they start to really feel that sense of the connection between home and school, because really at the end of the day, we are all on whatever your child's name, we're on that team, right? Like parents, school together.
So, and it's interesting, to your point, we're all on that child's name, or we're all on that child's team.
Yep.
But this is a big change for parents too, especially someone experiencing dropping a kindergarten student off for the first time. I was talking to one of your kindergarten teachers earlier, and she said there's this mindset amongst parents of, I dropped my kid off, now I'm just free, right? Like I have somebody else that is responsible for the learning, for their safety, and I have a bit of a free day. But what is some of the challenges or the change that parents with new kindergarten students are going to experience?
So they'll probably receive a few phone calls, especially at the beginning, just to like make sure that they know what's happening within the school building and how their child's adjusting. Everybody deserves to have some sort of view into what's happening with their child's education. And within kindergarten, social emotional is a big foundation of what we do every day, and our moral focus, right, is that foundation of our social emotional learning. So being able to be somewhat flexible and kind of know like, hey, this is going to be happening, or you may receive a phone call, or here's how you can come, and what does volunteering look like, or maybe you have a child who you don't want to have them come in too much because then the children get a little bit too excited, right? And so and then they have that hard time separating. So it's really kind of a balance. It's every individual kid's a little bit different, every family has a little bit different of an experience, but what really is the focus is that communication, that partnership between the school community and the family, to make sure, one, the parent knows and feels comfortable, like, hey, these are the things that are going on, here's how you can help. Sometimes that might be an in-school kind of thing where you can come in and do a quick wave, or that might be, hey, how are we doing handoff tomorrow a little differently? Sometimes it's just that literal handoff from what the parent to the administrator, or the Miss Keon at our school. She's our ABSS, who's amazing, right? It's those friendly faces, and seeing that collaboration between us can help parents also feel that comfort of like, don't worry, I've got your baby too.
So looking at it through the lens of parents being, ready for this next step. The first day of school is fast approaching. What can parents do to better prepare their students or themselves for this upcoming transition of going to school for the first time?
Absolutely. So the first thing I recommend to every parent, even myself, right now I'm reminding myself that when schools come, it's a big schedule shift from summer. And so right now is the time where you should start training your child to go to bed a little earlier so that they're waking up on time. That's step number one, is a good amount of sleep. And little babies like this need 10 hours. So that means if your baby is a 6 o'clock wake up, that means we got to be in bed by and sleeping by 8. And that's a big shift. That's one of the biggest ones. They're going to be tired the first couple weeks. So if your kiddo still takes naps, and that's not something we don't have in our kindergarten classrooms, just starting to maybe extend that nighttime sleep is going to be important, number one. Number two is decreasing screen time. So our kids don't live on screens here at school. We do have computers. They do use them daily, but not for extended periods of time. Screen addiction is a really big issue for all little kids. And so decreasing the tablet time, especially those games that are super fast moving, or your Cocomelons, or videos that are just super fast, switching to videos that are a little bit slower, longer videos, less game interaction, or just getting kids outside is going to help decrease that screen addiction time, which can be a real struggle with our littlest ones. And not doing that before they come to school in the morning, because that sets their brain off, and that can make a struggle as they're trying to get into what is not a screen time here at the building. And then reading to kids every night, so every day. Because not everybody can do nights, right? Maybe you do that in the morning when you wake up with kiddos. Maybe you do that over the summer, you work a shift that allows you to do lunchtime, right? Whatever it is, reading with your child every day, one, creates that emotional bond between a parent and child, but also exposes them to language that's going to make them more successful at school. And so reading, doing things like counting the number of windows on a building, doing, as you're walking around, how many trees do you see? Simple things like that to get them into the math and reading mindset that learning is everywhere all day, not just a school thing, and it creates that level of importance.
When could I expect that my kindergartner is going to be ready and in the rhythm of a school, right? School starts on day X. Is this a process that takes a day, a week, a month, 6 months? Is it by third grade? Like, how, as a parent, how would I know, yes, now my kid is ready after the first day of school to enjoy this every day?
Okay, so a couple of things play factors into there. Every child is different, right? If you have a younger kiddo, so my daughter started kindergarten when she was 4 because her birthday's in November. It took her a little bit longer to adjust because she was little, and we see that very frequently. If you have a kiddo who has like a summer birthday or a fall birthday, and they are just turned 5 or just turning 5 when they come, they will likely take a few more weeks than their peers, and need a little bit more attention. That's where some families decide, maybe we want to wait for kindergarten for another year.
Yeah.
But most of the time we can get those kiddos within the first few months into a routine. The other biggest thing, though, is being here every day. So attendance plays a huge role. If you want your child to come to school and be ready and acclimate faster, they got to be here every day. And kindergarten and first grade are historically, nationally, times where kids aren't in school as much. They have much higher rates of absenteeism in those grades. So making sure that your child's here every day, the more consistency and routine a child has, the faster they're going to acclimate. And getting here on time every day is also essential to making that go from maybe it takes a month to really be super comfortable in school down to just a couple of weeks. If you give us those first 3 weeks and they're here every day, and you keep that sleep schedule over the weekend for the most part, right? You're going to see a much faster transition.
And I'm glad you hit on attendance and showing up on time, right? Because I think too often we look at kindergarten as they're finger painting, they're learning letters, they're eating fruit roll-ups, and then they're taking a nap. So I'm glad that you hit on that. This was very helpful. Thank you. Is there anything else you would want to say to parents as we kind of run full speed into the first day of school?
Don't be afraid. Be prepared. It's going to be a great time. Kindergarten is a fabulous year of learning for kids. They have so much fun. They learn so much. To see the growth from day 1 to day 180 it's crazy. It's incredible. It's such an awesome journey. And when we set kids off on the right path through that consistency, routine, procedure, having that set up right from day 1, you're going to see your baby flourish.